Well, let's talk about Insidious,
Mm-hmm.
the Red Door. Now, we were
Okay.
talking before we got on mic about whether either of us had ever seen an Insidious movie, and I hadn't. Now, have you? You haven't.
I don't think so. I think I was thinking about Sinister, because Sinister is the franchise
With
that
Bagul.
started with Bagul, with Ethan Hawke, with the demon that kills you through watching old family films,
Yes,
right? Or
yes. Old, old,
home movies.
home snuff films.
Right, right. Snuff films, not family films. Right. So I was thinking of Insidious. I've seen Insidious movies, therefore I have not seen Sinister movies. And it's a franchise I'm sure is pretty good. It started starring Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne, who are both people we like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they acted in the first two movies. So Insidious in 2011, Insidious Chapter 2 in 2013. And those were both big hits. I mean, the high water mark of this franchise is in domestically Insidious 2 in
Mm-hmm.
2013, opened to 40 million, got to 83 million domestic. Though, I mean, you look worldwide, this franchise, even after Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne weren't in 3 and 4, worldwide, this franchise has stayed steady.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 3 made 120 million worldwide in 2015. Chapter 4, Insidious The Last Key, in 2018 made 172 million worldwide, 67 domestic, which is the second highest domestic of the franchise. So, all to say, this franchise is not ebbing, I don't think, right at the moment. I think it's in a fine spot to do well this
Well,
weekend.
3 was sort of a disaster when you look at it. I mean, down from the 40 opening of the last one, it made 22, and then it only made 52 domestic. And sure, it made 120 worldwide, which is still very good for a low budget movie like this, but it did wane at a point, but it is not waning at the moment, I think is the
No.
thing, because The Last Key, all these movies I think have had Lin Shaye, but only
Yes.
the first two had Rose Byrne and Patrick
Mhm.
Wilson, and this is the return of all of them, including the child actor who was in these movies,
Mhm.
or at least the first two, grown up. So this is really sort of a huge deal for Insidious fans, and Insidious fans are out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, Lin Shaye's been in all these, and we've been talking about one of her films a lot the last month, which is There's Something About Mary.
Mm-hmm.
She is the tanning lady from There's Something About Mary and the old lady landlord from Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
So she is just a presence that you know and love, and the Insidious fans know and love her. And yeah, the last movie in 2018 opened to 29.5 million. So and this one feels bigger. Obviously, it's got the name stars back, and it's got Patrick Wilson directing. Like it feels like a bigger deal than those movies. So this could, I mean, it should open at 25, and it's got a shot at opening at like 30 because the last one opened to 29. So it's very possible.
Well, here's the thing with this movie and the movie that's opening against it, Joyride, is that it's tracking, Insidious is tracking very high for females under 25, which is also
Wow.
who is maybe going to see Joyride, right? So there is a bit
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
weird cannibalization going on here to have these coming out at the same time. And I feel like this Insidious movie, like you said, feels like an event. There hasn't been
Mm-hmm.
really any horror other than Boogeyman this summer, and Boogeyman was no Black Phone. And this is performing pre-sale wise akin to a Black Phone and a
Yeah.
Candyman, as opposed to Boogeyman, which is this is doing like 3 times the pre-sales of that. So there is a want for this. And so I feel like this thing could do bigger business than they're saying. I mean, obviously the studio's being
Yes.
conservative about it, but I do think this thing could. I don't know if it could go 30, but it definitely could surprise. And I think it definitely, I mean, we'll get to the top fives, but I think this is beating Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be such I mean, again, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny. When they were scheduling this movie and they saw that the next weekend was Insidious, was the big movie coming out, I don't think they had any thought that they were not going to be the number one movie 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
And the fact that that is on the table and is very possible, again, just shows how little interest there is in this Indiana Jones movie,
Hmm.
especially at that budget. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this. You know, I may try and get a screening in at a Le Cinema here in Paris and see this Insidious movie. Start with the fifth one. Why not? So I may do that. I'm very interested in Patrick Wilson's directing debut, seeing him and Rose Byrne back together. Lynn Shay, see how she's doing this far into the franchise. I think there's a lot of interesting elements about this movie. And as far as fifth movies in a franchise, Insidious seems like it has a lot more buzz in its fifth movie than Indiana Jones does for its fifth.
Now,
You know, the stars look more like they did in the first Insidious movie than Indy does in the first Indiana Jones
well, that's
movie.
for sure. I wish we could have Brent from the New Flesh podcast on, but it's,
Yes.
5:50 in the morning. So, I wonder what he would say about this franchise. I'm sure we will be able to hear about it on the great podcast, The New Flesh. Must listen
Yep.
every week. So,
Yep.
a hashtag horror lifestyle, as they say. So, it'll be interesting to see the take on this from him and his co-hosts.